Do this. Okay, so I'll give my brief introduction to those of you who may be watching the videotape of this on YouTube. We are reading today in the middle of Sirens, and the key phrase is women. Our tenors get women by the score. Almost got that one backwards. All right. All right, here we go. Tenors get women by the score, increase their flow, throw flowers at his feet. When will we meet? My head, it's simply jingle all delighted. He can't sing for tall hats. Your head, it simply swirls. Perfume for him. What perfume does your wife? I want to know. Jing, stop, knock. Last look at the mirror, always before she answers the door. The hall. There. How do you? I do well. There. What? Or Phila of Caucus, kissing comfits in her satchel. Yes. Hands felt for the opulent. Alas, the voice rose, sighing, changed, loud, full, shining, proud. But alas, 'twas idle dreaming. Glorious tone he has. Cork air softer, also their brogue. Silly man. Could have made oceans of money. Singing wrong words. Wore out his wife, now sings. But hard to tell. Only the two themselves. If he doesn't break down, keep a trot for the avenue. His hand and feet sing too. Drink. Nerves overstrung. Must be extemporaneous to sing. Jenny Lind, soup, stock, sage, raw eggs, half pint of cream for creamy dreaming. Next, please.
Tenderness it welled, slow swelling, full it throbbed. That's the chat. Ha, give, take, throb, a pulsing, proud, erect. Words, music? No, it's what's behind. Bloom looped, unlooped, noted, disnoted. Bloom, flood of warm, jam, lick it up, secretness, flow to flow, in music, out. In desire, dark, to lick, flow, invading, tipping her, tapping her, topping her, top, pours to dilate, dilating, top, the joy, the feel, the warm, the top, to pour o'er sluices, pouring, gushes, flood, gush, flow, joy gush, top throb, now, language of love, ray of hope is, next please.
Beaming, Lydia for Lidwell squeak scarcely hears so ladylike the muse unsqueaked a ray of hope. Martha it is, coincidence. Just going to write Lionel's song. Lovely name you have. Can't write, except my little prez. Play on her heartstrings, her strings too. She's a. I called you naughty boy, still the name. Martha, how strange today. The voice of Lionel returned, weaker but unwearied. It sang again to Richie, Poldy, Lydia, Lidwell, also sang to Pat, open mouth, ear waiting to wait. How first he saw that form endearing, how sorrow seemed to part, how look, form, word charmed him. Good Lidwell, won Pat Bloom's heart. Wish I could see his face though, explain better. By the barber in Drago's always looked my face when I spoke, his face in the glass. Still hear it better here than in the bar, though further, each graceful look. First night when I saw her at Matt Dillon's in Terranure, yellow black lace she wore, music and chairs, we two the last, fate. After her, fate. Round and round, slow, quick round. We two all looked, halt, down she sat, all ousted looking, lips laughing, yellow knees, charmed my eye. Singing, waiting she sang. I turned her music, full voice of perfume, of what perfume does your lilac trees. Bosom I saw, both full, throat warbling. First I saw, she thanked me. Why did she me? Fate, Spanishy eyes, under a pear tree, alone patio this hour, in old Madrid, one side in shadow, Dolores, shell Dolores, at me, luring, alluring. Martha, Martha, quitting old languor, Lionel cried in grief, in cry of passion dominant, to love to return with deepening, yet with rising chords of harmony. In cry of Lionel loneliness, that she should know, must Martha feel. For only her he waited. Where? Here, there, try there, here, all try where, somewhere. Come, thou lost one. Come, thou dear one. Next, please.
Alone, one love, one hope, one comfort me. Martha, chestnut, return. Come. It soared, a bird. It held its flight, a swift, pure cry, soar, silver orb. It leaped, serene, speeding, sustained to come. Don't spin it out too long. Long breath, ye, breath, long life, soaring high, high, resplendent, aflame, crowned, high in the effulgence, symbolistic, high of the ethereal bosom, high of the high, vast irradiation everywhere, all soaring, all around, about the all, the endlessness. To me, Sirepold, consumed. Come, well sung, all clapped. She ought to come to me, to him, to her, you too, me, us. Bravo, clap, clap. Good man, Simon. Clappy, clap, clap. Encore. Clap, clip, clap. Sound as a bell. Bravo, Simon. Clap, clap, clap. Encore. End clap. Said, cried, clapped all. Ben Dollard, Lydia Douce, George Lidwell, Pat, Mina, two gentlemen with two tankards, Cowley, first gent with tank, and bronze Miss Douce and gold Miss Mina. Blazes Boylan's smart tan shoes creaked on the bar floor, said before, jingle by monuments of Sir John Gray, Horatio one-handled Nelson, Reverend Father Theobald Matthew, jaunted, as said before just now. A trot in heat seated, clush, sunny-la, clush, sunny-la. Slower, the mare went up the hill by the rotunda, Rutland Square. Too slow for Boylan, blazes Boylan, impatience, Boylan juggled the mare. And after clang of Cowley's chords closed, died on the air, made richer. After Richie Goulding drank his power and Leopold Bloom his cider drank, Lidwell his Guinness. Second gentleman said they would take up two tankards if she did not mind. Miss Kennedy smirked, deserving coral leaps at first, at second. She did not mind. Next.
7 days in jail, Ben Dollard said, on bread and water. Then you'd sing, Simon, like a garden thrush. Lionel Simon Singer laughed. Father Bob Crowley played. Mina Kennedy served. Second gentleman paid. Tom Kernan strutted in. Lydia admired. But Bloom sang dumb, admiring. Richie, admiring, decanted on that man's glorious voice. He remembered one night long ago, never forget that night. See, sang, 'twas rank and fame, and Ned Lambert's it was. Good God, he never heard all in all his life. A note like that, he never did. Then false one, we had better part. So clear, so God, he'd never heard since love lives not, sorry, since love lives not. A clinking voice, lives not. Ask Lambert, he can tell you too. Goulding, a flush struggling in his peel, told Mr. Bloom, face of the night, see, in Ned Lambert's. Daedalus house, sang, 'twas rank and fame. He, Mr. Bloom, listened while he, Richie Golden, told him, Mr. Bloom of the night, he, Richie, heard him. See, Daedalus sang, 'twas rank and fame in his Ned Lambert's house. Brother-in-law, relations, we never speak as we pass by. Rift in the lute, I think, treats him with scorn. See, he admires him all the same. The night, see, sang, the human voice, two tiny silky chords, wonderful, more than all the others. Next.
You need to turn on your microphone there, Katrina.
The voice was a lamentation, calmer now. It's in the silence after you feel you hear vibrations, now silent air. Bloom unjived his crisscrossed hands and with slack fingers plucked the slender catgut throng. He drew and plucked. It buzzed, it twanged. While Goulding talked of Barraclough's voice production, while Tom Kernan harking back in a retrospective sort of arrangement, talking to listening Father Cowley, who played a voluntary, who nodded as he played, while Big Ben Dollard talked with Simon Daedalus, lighting, who nodded as he smoked, who smoked. Thou lost one, all songs on that theme, yet more Bloom stretched his string, cruel it seems. Let people get fond of each other, lure them out, then tear asunder, death explodes, knock on the head, out of hell, out of that, human life, dignum. Ugh, that rat's tail wriggling, 5 bob I gave, corpid paradisum, corn cake croaker belly like a poisoned pup, gone, they sing, forgotten, I too, and one day she with, leave her, get tired, suffer then, snivel, big Spanishy eyes goggling at nothing, her wavy, heavy, wavy hair uncombed. Yet too much happy bores. He stretched more. Are you not happy in your twang? It snapped. Jingle into Dorset Street. Miss Douce withdrew her satiny arm, reproachful, pleased. Don't make half so free, she said, till we are better acquainted. George Lidwell told her really and truly, but she did not believe. First gentleman told Mina that was so. She asked him, was that so? And second tankard told her so, that was so. Next, please.
Miss Douce, Miss Lydia did not believe. Miss Kennedy, Mina did not believe. George Lidwell, no. Miss Dew did not. The first gent with the tank, believe. No, did not. Miss Ken, Lidley Dewell, the tank. Better write it here. Quills in the post office chewed and twisted. Bald Pat at a sign drew nigh. A pen and ink, he went. A pad, he went. A pad to blot. He heard. Deaf Pat. Yes, Mr. Bloom said, teasing the curling catgut fine. It certainly is. Few lines will do. My present. all that Italian florid music is. Who is this wrote? Know the name, you know better. Take out sheet, notepaper, envelope, unconcerned. It's so characteristic. Grandest number in the whole opera, Goulding said. It is, Bloom said. Numbers it is. All music, when you come to think. 2 multiplied by 2 divided by half is twice 1. Vibrations, chords those are. 1 plus 2 plus 6 is 7. Do anything you like with figures juggling. Always find out this equal to that. Symmetry under the cemetery wall. He doesn't see my mourning. Callous, all for his own gut. Muse mathematics, and you think you're listening to the ethereal. But suppose you said it like Martha. 7 times 9 minus x is 35,000. All quite glad. It's on account of the sounds it is. Next, please.
Instance he's playing now, improvising. Might be what you like till you hear the words. Want to listen sharp, hard. Begin all right, then hear chords a bit off, feel lost a bit, in and out of sacks, over barrels, through wire fences, obstacle race. Time makes the tune. Question of mood you're in. Still, always nice to hear, except scales up and down, girls learning, 2 together next door neighbors. I have to invent dummy pianos for that. Millie, no taste. Queer because we both, Bloom and Late I bought for her. The name, playing it slow. A girl, night I came home, the girl, door of the stables near Cecilia Street. Bald, deaf Pat brought quite flat pad ink. Pat set with ink pen, quite flat Pat. Pat took plate, dish, knife, fork. Pat went. It was the only language, Mr. Dedalus said to Ben. He heard them as a boy in Ringabella, Crosshaven, Ringabella, singing their barcarolles. Queenstown Harbor, full of Italian ships, walking, you know. Ben in the moonlight with those earthquake hats, blending their voices. God, such music, Ben, heard as a boy. Cross Ringabella, Haven, moon carol. Sour pipe removed, he held a shield of hand beside his lips that cooed a moonlight night call, clear from anear, a call from afar, replying. Down the edge of his Freeman baton ranged Bloom's, your other eye, scanning for, where did I see that? Callan, Coleman, Dignam Patrick, hey ho, Fawcett. Aha, just I was looking. Next, please.
I hope he's not looking, cute as a rat. He held unfurled his Freeman. Can't see now. Remember, right Greek ease. Bloom dipped, blue, dear sir. Dear Henry wrote, dear Maddie, got your let and flow. Hell did I put, some pock or oath. It is utter impasse, underline impasse, to write today. Or this, bored Bloom, tambourine gently, with I am just reflecting fingers on flat pad brought on. Know what I mean? No. Change that E. Accept my poor little prez and close. Ask her, no answer. Hold on, 5 dig, 2 about here, Penny the gulls. Elijah is calm. 7 Davy Burns. Is 8 about, say half a crown. My poor little prez. P.O. 2 and 6. Write me along. Do you despise? Jingle. Have you that? So excited. Why do you call me not? You naughty too. Oh, Mary lost the pin of her. Bye for today. Yes, yes. Will tell you. Want to keep it up. Call me that other. Other words she wrote. My patience are exhausted. To keep it up, you must believe. Believe the tank. It is true. Folly am I writing. Husbands don't. That's marriage does, their wives. Because I'm away from, suppose. But how? She must keep young. If she found out, hard in my high grade, no, not tell all, useless pain. If they don't see, woman, sauce for the gander. A hackney car, number 324, driver Barton James of number 1 Harmony Avenue, Donnybrook, on which set of fare a young gentleman, stylishly dressed in an indigo blue serge suit made by George Robert Messias, tailor and cutter, of number 5 Eden Quay, and wearing a straw hat, very dressy, bought of John Plasto of number 1 Great Brunswick Street, hatter. Eh? This is the jingle that joggled and jingled, by Douglas's pork shop, bright tubes of Aganda, trotted a gallant buttocked mare. Answering an ad, keen Richie's eyes asked Bloom. Yes, Mr. Bloom said. Town traveller, nothing doing, I expect. Bloom more. Less references. But Henry wrote, it will excite me. You know how. In haste, Henry. Greek E. Better add postscript. What is he playing now? Improvising intermezzo. P.S. The rum-tum-tum. How will you pun? You punish me? Crooked skirt swinging, quack by. Tell me I want to. No. Oh, of course, if I didn't, I wouldn't ask. La 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 ree. Waves off there sad in minor. Why minor sad? Sign H. They like sad tail at the end. PPS. La 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 ree. I feel so sad today. La ree. So lonely D. Next, please.
He blotted quick on pad of pat, amble, address. Just copy out of paper, murmured. Messrs. Callan, Coleman and Company Limited. Henry wrote, Miss Martha Clifford, care of P.O. Duffin's Barn Lane, Dublin. Blot over the other so he can't read. Right. Idea, prize, tidbit. Something detective read off blotting paper. Payment at the rate of guinea per call. Matcham often thinks the laughing witch. Poor Mrs. Purefoy. U.P. up. Too poetical that about the sad. Music did that. Music had charms, Shakespeare said. Quotations every day in the year. To be or not to be, wisdom while you wait. In Gerard's Rosary of Fetter Lane, he walks. Greyed all burn. One life is all, one body, do but do. Done, anyhow. Postal order stamp. Post office lower down. Walk now. Enough. Barney Kiernan's, I promised to meet them. It's like that job. House of mourning. Walk. Pat. Doesn't hear. Deaf beetle he is. Car near there now. Talk. Pat. Doesn't. Settling those napkins. Lot of ground he must cover in the day. Paint face behind on him, then he'd be two. Wish they'd sing more, keep my mind off. Bald Pat, who is bothered, mitered than napkins. Pat is a waiter hard of hearing. Pat is a waiter who waits while you wait. He. He waits while you wait. He. A waiter is he. He. He waits while you wait. While you wait, if you wait, he will wait while you wait. He. Oh, wait while you wait. Juice now. Juice, Lydia runs and rows. She had a gorgeous, simply gorgeous time. And look at the lovely shell she brought. To the end of the bar to him, she bore lightly the spiked and winding sea horn that he, George Litwell, solicitor, might hear. Listen, she bade him. Under Tom Kernan's gin-hot words, the accompanist wove music slow, authentic fact. How Walter Bapty lost his voice. Well, sir, the husband took him by the throat. Scoundrel, said he, you'll sing no more love songs. He did, Sir Tom. Bob Cowley wove. Tenors get one. Cowley lay back. Ah, now he heard. She's holding it to his ear. Here? He heard. Wonderful. She held it to her own, and through the sifted light pale gold in contrast glided to hear. Tap. Bloom, through the bar door, saw a shell held at their ears. He heard more faintly that they heard, each for herself alone, then each for other, hearing the plash of waves loudly, a silent roar, bronze by a weary gold, anear, afar they listened. Her ear, too, is a shell, a peeping lobe there. Been to the seaside, lovely seaside girls, skin tanned raw. Should have put on cold cream first, make it brown, buttered toast. Oh, and that lotion, mustn't forget. Fever near her mouth. You're headed simply, hair braided over, shell with seaweed. Why do they hide their ears with seaweed hair and Turks their mouth? Why? Her eyes over the sheet, a yashmak. Find the way in, a cave. No admittance, except on business. Next.
The sea, they think they hear, singing, a roar. The blood it is, sighs in the ear sometimes. Well, it's the sea, Carpuscle Islands. Wonderful, really, so distinct. Again, George Lidwell held its murmur, hearing, then laid it by gently. What are the wild waves saying? He asked her, smiled. Charming, sea smiling, and unanswering, Lydia on Lidwell smiled. Tap. By Larry O'Rourke's, by Larry, bold Larry O. Boylan swayed and Boylan turned. From the forsaken shell, Miss Mina glided to her tankards, waiting. No, she was not so lonely. Archly Miss Douche head let Mr. Lidwell know. Walks in the moonlight by the sea. No, not alone. With whom? She nobly answered. With a gentleman friend. Bob Kiley's twinkling fingers on the treble played again. The landlord has the prior. A little time. Long John. Big band. Lightly he played a light, bright, tinkling measure for tripping ladies, arch and smiling, and for their gallant gentlemen friends. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 4. Sea, wind, leaves, thunder, waters, cows lowing, the cattle market, cocks, hens don't crow, snakes hiss. There's music everywhere. Rutledge's door, creaking. No, that's noise. Mignette of Don Giovanni, he's playing now. Court dresses of all descriptions in castle chambers dancing. Misery. Peasants outside. Green starving faces eating dock leaves. Nice that is. Look, 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 look. You look at us. That's joyful, I feel. Never have written it. Why? My joy is other joy. Both joy, but both are joys. Yes, joy it must be. Mere fact of music shows you are. Often thought she was in the dumps till she began to lilt. Then, no. Next.
McCoy Valise. McCoy Valise, my wife and your wife. Squealing cat, like carrying silk. Tongue when she talks like the clapper of a bellows. They can't manage men's intervals. Gap in their voices too. fill me. I'm warm, dark, open. Molly is quis qui est homo, mercandante. My ear against the wall to hear. Want a woman who can deliver the goods. Jog, jig, jog, stopped. Dandy tan shoe of dandy boiling socks, sky blue clocks came light to earth. Oh, look, we are so chamber music. Could make a kind of pun on that. It is a kind of music I often thought when acoustics, that is, tinkling, empty vessels make most noise, because the acoustics, the resonance changing according as the weight of the water is equal to the law of falling water, like those rhapsodies of Liszt's Hungarian gypsy-eyed, pearls, drops, rain, diddle-idle, addle-daddle, oodle-oodle, hiss, now, maybe now, before. One rap on the door, one tapped with a knock. Did he knock? Paul de Kock with a loud, proud knocker with a cock, cock, tap. Qui segno, Ben, said Father Cowley. No, Ben, Tom Hernan interfered, the crappie boy, our native Doric. I do, Ben, Mr. Dedalus said, good man and true. Do, they begged in one. I'll go. Here, Pat, return. Come. He came, he did not say to me how much. What key? 6 sharps? F sharp major, Ben Dollard said. Bob Cowley's outstretched talons gripped the black, deep-sounding chords. Next, please.
Must go, Prince Bloom told Richie Prince. No, Richie said. Yes, must. Got money somewhere. He's on for a razzle backache spree. Much? He hears lip speech. 1 and 9. Penny for yourself. Here. Give him 2pence, Chip. Deaf, bothered. But perhaps he has a wife and family waiting. Patty, come home. He. Deaf, wait while they wait. But here. Chords dark, lugubrious, low, in a cave of the dark middle earth, embedded o'er lump music, the voice of dark age, of unlove, earth's fatigue, made grave approach and painful, come from afar, from hoary mountains, called on good men and true. A priest he sought, with him would he speak a word. Tap. Ben Dollard's voice, bass barrel tone, doing his level best to say it. Croak of vast, manless, moonless, woundless marsh. Other come down. Big ships, Chandler's business he did once. Remember, Rosity ropes, ship's lanterns, failed to the tune of 10,000 pounds. Now in the Ivy home, cubicle number so-and-so. Number 1 Bass did that for him. The priest's at home. A false priest servant bade him welcome. Step in, the Holy Father, with bows, a traitor servant, curlicues of cords, ruin them, wreck their lives. They build them cubicles to end their days in. Hushaby, lullaby, die, dog, little dog, die. A voice of warning, solemn warning, told them the youth had entered a lonely hall, and told them how solemn fell his footsteps there, told them the gloomy chamber, the vested priest sitting to shrive. Decent soul, but addled now. Thinks he'll read in answers, poet's picture puzzle. We hand you crisp £5 note. Bird sitting hatching in a nest. Lay of the last minstrel he thought he was. C-T, what domestic animal? T-R, most courageous mariner. Good voice he has still. No eunuch yet with all his belongings. Listen, Bloom listened. Richie Goulding listened. And by the door, deaf Pat, bald Pat, tipped Pat, listened. The chords harped slower. The voice of penance and of grief came slow, embellished, tremulous. Ben's contrite beard confessed. In nomine Domini, in God's name he knelt. He beat his hand upon his breast, confessing mea culpa. Next.
Latin again.
That holds them like bird lime. Priest with the communion corpus for those women. Chap in the mortuary, coffin or coffee, corpus nomini. Wonder where rat is by now. Scrape, tap. They listened, tankards, and Miss Kennedy, George Lidwell, eyelid well expressive, full-busted satin, Kernan, sigh. The sighing voice of sorrow sang his sins. Since Easter he had cursed 3 times. You bitch's bast. And once at mass time he had gone to play. Once by the churchyard he had passed, and for his mother's rest he had not prayed. A boy, a croppy boy. Bronze, listening by the beer pool, gazed far away, soulfully. Doesn't half know I'm. Molly, great dab at seeing anyone looking. Bronze gazed far sideways, mirror there. Is that best side of her face? They always know. Knock at the door. Last tip to titivate. Cock-a-rock-a-ra. What do they think when they hear music? Way to catch rattlesnakes. Knight Michael Gunn gave us the box. Tuning up. Shah of Persia like that best. Remind him of Home Sweet Home. Wiped his nose and curtain too. Custom, his country perhaps. That's music too. Not as bad as it sounds. Tootling, brasses, braying asses through up trunks, double basses, helpless, gashes in their sides, woodwinds, mooing cows, semi-grand open crocodile music hath jaws. Woodwind like Goodwin's name. She looked fine. Her crocus dress she wore, low cut, belongings on show. Clove her breath was always in theater when she bent to ask a question. Told her what Spinoza says in that book of poor papas. Hypnotized listening. Eyes like that. She bent. Chap in dress circle staring down into her with his opera glass for all he was worth. Beauty of music you must hear twice. Nature, woman, half a look. God made the country, man the tune. Met him pike hoses. Philosophy. Oh, rocks. All gone, all fallen. At the siege of Ross, his father, at Gorey all his brothers fell. To Wexford, we are the boys of Wexford, he would, last of his name and race. I too, last my race, Millie, young student. Well, my fault perhaps, no son, Rudy. Too late now. Or if if still, he bore no hate. Hate, love, those are names. Rudy. Soon I am old. Big Ben, his voice unfolded. Great voice, Richie Goulding said, a flush struggling in his pale. To bloom, soon old, but then was young. Ireland comes now, my country above the king. She listened. Who fears to speak of 1904? Time to be shoving. Looked enough. Bless me, Father, Dollar, the crappy boy cried. Bless me and let me go. Tap. Bloom looked, unblessed to go. Got up to kill, an 18 bob a week. Fellows shell out the dibs. Want to keep your weather eye open. Those girls, those lovely, by the sad sea waves. Chorus girls' romance. Letters read out for breach of promise. From Chickabiddy's own Mumpsy Boom. Laughter in court. Henry. I never signed it. The lovely name you. Low sank the music, air and words, then hastened. The false priest rustling soldier from his cassock, a yeoman captain. They know it all by heart. The thrill they itch for. Yeoman cap, tap, tap. Thrilled, she listened, bending in sympathy to hear. Blank face. Virgin should say, or fingered only. Write something on it, page. If not, what becomes of them? Decline, despair, keeps them young, even admire themselves. See, Play on her. Lip blow, body of white woman, a flute alive. Blow gentle, loud. 3 holes, all women. Goddess, I didn't see. They want it. Not too much polite. That's why he gets them. Gold in your pocket, brass in your face. With look to look, songs without words. Molly, that hurdy-gurdy boy, she knew he meant the monkey was sick, or because, so like the Spanish, understand animals too that way. Solomon did, gift of nature. Ventriloquize, my lips closed. Think in my stum, what? Will you, I want you to. With hoarse, rude fury, the omens cursed, swelling in apoplectic bitches bastard. A good thought, boy, to come. 1 hour's your time to live, your last. Tap, tap. Next, please.
Thrill now. Pity they feel. To wipe away a tear from martyrs. For all things dying want to, dying to die. For that all things mourn. Poor Mrs. Purefoy. Hope she's over, because they're wombs. A liquid of womb of woman, eyeball gazed under offensive lashes, calmly hearing. See real beauty of the eye when she not speaks. On yonder river, at each slow, satiny, heaving bosom's wave, her heaving embalm, red rose rose slowly, sank red rose. Heartbeats her breath, breath that is life, and all the tiny, tiny fern folds trembled of maidenhair. But look, the bright stars fade. Oh, Rose, Castile, the morn, ah, Lidwell. For him then, not for, infatuated. I like that. See her from here, though. Popped corks, splashes of beer frost, stacks of empties. On the smooth, jutting beer pool laid Lydia hand lightly, plumply, leave it to my hands. All lost in pity for crappie. Fro, to, fro, over the polished knob. She knows his eyes, my eyes, her thumb and finger passed in pity, passed, repassed, and gently touching, then slid so smoothly, slowly down. The cool, firm, white enamel, baton protruding through their sliding ring, with a cock and a cotto. Tap, tap, tap. Next.
I hold this house, amen. He gnashed in fury, traitors swing. The courts consented, very sad thing, but had to be. Got out before the end. Thanks, that was heavenly. Where's my hat? Passed by her. Can leave that Freeman letter I have. Suppose she were the, no, walk, 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 like Cashel, Boyle, O'Connor, O'Coyle, Tisdale, Maurice, Tinsdale, Farrell. Walk. Well, it must be. Are you off? Must be buys, step or rye high blue. Oh, Bloom stood up, so feeling rather sticky behind. Must have sweated. Music. That lotion, remember. Well, so long. High grade. Card inside. Yes. By deaf Pat in the doorway, straining ear, Bloom passed. At Geneva Barrack, that young man died. At Passage was his body laid. Dolor, oh, he Dolores. The voice of the mournful chanter called to dolorous prayer. By rose, by satiny bosom, by the fondling hand, by slops, by empties, by popped corks, greeting in going, past eyes of maidenhair, bronze and faint gold in deep sea shadow, went Bloom, soft Bloom. I feel so lonely, Bloom. Tap, tap, tap. Pray for him, prayed the bass of Dollard. You who hear in peace, breathe a prayer, drop a tear, good men, good people. He was the crappie boy. Scaring eavesdropping boots croppy boots boy Bloom in the Ormond hallway heard the growls and roars of bravo, fat backslapping, their boots all treading, boots, not the boots, the boy. General chorus off for a swill to wash it down. Glad I avoided. Come on, Ben, Simon Dedalus cried. By God, you're as good as ever you were. Better, said Tangen Kernan. Most trenchant rendition of that ballad upon my soul and honor it is. Lablache, said Father Cowley. Ben Dollard bulkily cachuchad towards the bar, mightily praise-fed and all big roseate on heavy-footed feet, his gouty fingers knackering castanets in the air. Big Ben, Dollard, Big Ben, Big Ben, and deep moved all, Simon trumping compassion from foghorn nose, all laughing that brought him forth, Ben Dollard, in right good cheer. Next, please.
You're looking rubicund, George Lidwell said. Miss Douce composed her rose to wait. Ben McCree, said Mr. Dedalus, clapping Ben's fat back shoulder blade. Fiddle's the fiddle, only he has a lot of adipose tissue concealed about his person. Brrrs. Fat of death, Simon, Ben Dollard growled. Richie riffed in the lute alone sat. Golden Collis ward, uncertainly he waited. Unpaid pat too. Tap, 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 tap. Miss Mina Kennedy brought near her lips to ear of tankard one. Mr. Dollard, they murmured low. Dollard, murmured tankard. Tank one believed. Miss Ken, when she died, what doll he was, she doll, the tank. He murmured that he knew the name. The name was familiar to him, that is to say. That was to say he had heard the name of Dollard, was it? Dollard, yes. Yes, her lips said more loudly, Mr. Dollard. He sang that song lovely, murmured Mina. And The Last Rose of Summer was a lovely song. Mina loved that song. Tankard loved the song that Mina. 'Tis the last rose of summer, Dollard left bloom, that wind wound round inside. Gassy thing, that cider. Binding too. Wait, post office near Reuben eyes. 1 and 8pence too. Get shut of it. Dodge round by Greek Street. Wish I hadn't promised to meet. Freer in air. Music. Gets on your nerves. Beer pull. Her hand that rocks the cradle rules the Ben Hoth. That rules the world. Far, 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 far. Tap, 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 tap. Up the key went Lionel Leopold. Naughty Henry with letter for Maddie. With sweets of sin, with frillies for Raoul. With met him pike hoses when Poldy on. Tap blind walked, tapping by the tap, the curbstone tapping, tap by tap. Cowley, he stunts himself with it, kind of drunkenness. Better give way, only halfway, the way of a man with a maid. Instance enthusiasts, all ears, not lose the demi-semi-quaver. Eyes shut, head nodding in time. Dotty, you daren't budge. Thinking strictly prohibited, always talking shop, fiddle-faddle about notes. All a kind of attempt to talk, unpleasant when it stops, because you never know exact. Organ in Gardner Street, Old Glynn, 50 quid a year. Queer up there in the cockloft alone, with stops and blocks and keys. Seated all day at the organ, maunder on for hours, talking to himself or the other fellows blowing the bellows. Growl angry, then shriek cursing. Want to have a wadding or something in his. No, don't, she cried. Then all of a sudden, wee little wind. A wee little wind piped E in Bloom's little wee. Was he? Mr. Dedalus said, returning with fetched pipe. I was with him this morning at poor little Paddy Dignam's. Aye, the Lord have mercy on him. By the by, there's tuning fork in there on the tap, 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 tap. The wife has a fine voice, or had. What? Lidwell asked. Oh, that must be the tuner, Lydia said to Simon Lionel. First I saw, forgot it when he was there. Blind he was, she told George Lidwell, second I saw, and played so exquisitely, treat to hear, exquisite contrast, bronze lid, Mina gold. Shout, Ben Dollard shouted, pouring, sing out. He'll do, cried Father Cowley. Next, please.
I feel I want tap, 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 tap. Very, Mr. Dedalus said, staring hard at a headless sardine. Under the sandwich bell lay on a bier of bread one lonely last sardine of summer, Bloom alone. Very, he stirred the low register for choice. Tap, 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 tap. Bloom went by Barry's. Wish I could wait. That wonder worker, if I had 24 solicitors in that one house. Litigation. Love one another. Piles of parchment. Messrs. Pick and Pocket have power of attorney. Goulding, Collis, Ward. But for example, the chap that wallops the big drum, his vocation, Mickey Rooney's band. Wonder how it first struck him, sitting at home after a pig's cheek and cabbage, nursing it in the armchair, rehearsing his band part. Bum, pumpity. Jolly for the wife. Asses skins. Welt them through life, then wallop after death. Pum, wallop. Seems to be what you call yashmak or, kismet, fate. Tap, tap. A stripling, blind with the tapping cane, came tap, tap, tapping by Daly's window, where a mermaid, hair all streaming, but he couldn't see, blew whiffs of a mermaid, blind couldn't, mermaid, coolest whiff of all. Instruments, a blade of grass, shell in her hands, then blow. Even comb and tissue paper you can knock a tune out of. Molly in her shift in Lombard Street West, hair down. I suppose each kind of trade makes its own, don't you see? Hunter with a horn. Oh, have you the flush, sonny la, shepherd his pipe, policeman a whistle, locks and keys, sweep. 4 o'clock, all's well. Sleep. All is lost now. Drum, bumpity. Wait, I know. Town crier. Bum bailiff, Long John, waken the dead. Bum. Dignam. Poor little nomine domine. Bum. It is music. I mean, of course, it's all pom, 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 very much what they call da capo. Still, you can hear, as we march along, pom. I really must. Now, if I did that at a banquet, just a question of custom, Shah of Persia, breathe a prayer, drop a tear. All the same, he must have been a bit of a natural not to see that it was a yeoman cap, muffled up. Wonder who was that chap at the grave in the brown mackin? Oh, pour the lane. Next.
A frowsy whore with a black straw sailor hat askew came lazily in the day along the quay towards Mr. Bloom. When first he saw that form endearing, yes, it is. I feel so lonely. Wet night in the lane, horn. Who had the hee-haw seesaw of her beat here? What? What is she? Hope she, psst. Any chance of your wash? New Molly had me decked. Stout lady does be with you in the brown costume. Put you off your stroke, that. Appointment we made, knowing we've never, well, hardly ever. Too dear, too near to home, sweet home. Sees me, does she? Looks a fright in the day. Face like dip. Damn her. Oh well. She has to live like the rest. Look here. Next.
In Lionel Marx's antique sale shop window, haughty Henry Lionel Leopold, dear Henry Flower, earnestly Mr. Leopold Bloom envisions battered candlesticks, melodeon oozing maggoty blow bags, bargain 6 bob. Might learn to play. Cheap. Let her pass. Because everything is dear if you don't want it. That's what good salesman is. Make you buy what he wants to sell. Chap sold me the Swedish razor he shaved me with. Wanted to charge me for the edge he gave it. She's passing now. 6 bob. Must be the cider or perhaps the Burgund. Near bronze from a knee. Near bronze from a near gold from afar. They chinked their chinking glasses all, bright-eyed and gallant, before bronze Lydia's tempting last rose of summer, rose of Castile. First lid, de, cow, cur, doll, a 5th, Lidwell, Cy, Daedalus, Bob Cowley, Curtin, and Big Ben Bollard. Tap. A youth
Thank you, Lois. Lois, thank you very much. We're just going to finish off this page. So I'm going to ask Katrina and Bill. Katrina, read half of what's left, and then Bill will finish it off with the last few sentences.
Tap. A youth entered a lonely Ormond hall. Bloom viewed a gallant picture hero in Lionel Mark's window. Robert Emmett's last words, 7 last words of Meyerbeer, that is. True men like you, man. Aye, Ben. Will lift your glass with us. They lifted. Chink, junk. Bill.
Tip. An unseeing stripling stood in the door. He saw not bronze. He saw not gold. Nor Ben, nor Bob, nor Tom, nor Cy, nor George, nor Tanks, nor Richie, nor Pat. He did not see. See Bloom, greasy Bloom, viewed last words, softly. When my country takes her place among must be the nations of the earth, no one behind, she's past. Then and not till then. Tram, cran, good hopper, coming, crandle, cran. I'm sure it's the Burgundy. Yes, 1, 2, let my epitaph be written. I have done.
Done. All right.
How can you follow that?
I know. Oh, anyway, there's so much music in that. Bill, is there a song in that?
In which? In the whole, in what we read? Yeah, then well, the crappy one.
Yeah.
But the whole episode is music, and that's what Bloom is thinking about, how everything makes music.
Yeah.
So would it be good for you to sing a little bit of the Crappie Boy?
Yeah, I think so.
I do
Oh,
too.
man. I don't know if I remember any of it. That's the problem.
Okay.
Maybe Donna.
Has he disappeared?
He's gone. Well, there was opera in there too.
There was a bit, I can't remember which one now.
Well, they kept talking about Martha.
Martha,
There was a little bit of Martha and a little bit of Don Giovanni was mentioned.
Mhm.
Of course, Martha's in there because of Bloom's literary affair with Martha. And he's thinking about the letter and he gets the paper to return the letter. I was interested in the fact, we had the sirens. So, of course, the two ladies are the sirens. And then I was just noticing, I don't know why I didn't notice this before, that of course we have Pat, the waiter, deaf Pat. And we, of course, in the Ulysses thing, they had the way they got through, or way Ulysses got through, was by sticking something in his ear so he couldn't hear the sirens.
Wax.
Wax?
Wax.
Okay.
He also strapped himself to the mast of the ship
Mm-hmm.
and warned his crew not to release him despite all his pleas. I just happened to be reading the Odyssey at the moment.
Excellent.
Oh, wax. Let me see yours.
Good
let's-
men and true in this house who dwell, to a strange buckle I pray you tell. Is the priest at home, or may he be seen? I would speak a word with Father Green. The youth has entered an empty hall, where a lonely sound as his light foot fall, and the gloomy chambers cold and bare, with a vested priest in a lonely chair. The youth has knelt to tell his sins. Nomine Dei, the youth begins. At mea culpa, he beats his breast. Then in broken murmurs he speaks the rest. At the siege of Ross did my father fall, and at Gory my loving brothers all. I alone am left to my name and race. I will go to Wexford to take their place. I cursed 3 times since last Easter day, and at Mass time once I went to play. I passed the churchyard one day in haste, and forgot to pray for my mother's rest. I bear no hate against living thing, but I love my country above my king. Now, Father, bless me and let me go to die, if God has ordained it so. The priest said naught, but a rustling noise made the youth look up in wild surprise. The robes were off, and in scarlet there sat a yeoman captain with fiery glare. With fiery glare and with fury hoarse, instead of a blessing, he breathed a curse. 'Twas a good thought, boy, to come here and shrive. For 1 short hour is your time to live. Upon yon river 3 tenders float, the priest on one, if he isn't shot. We hold this house for our Lord and King, and amen I say, may all traitors swing. At Geneva barracks that young man died, and at Passage they have his body laid. Good people who live in peace and joy, breathe a prayer, shed a tear for the crappie boy.
Mm.
Beautiful.
Very good. Thank you.
Bravo.
Yeah, bravo.
What does crappie mean?
A crappie they were named after their haircut. They cut their hair very short, so they had cropped hair. And they were known then as crappies to distinguish them from the Protestant and the other,
Mullets.
probably had mullets or whatever they had.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was in the style of the French Revolution.
Yes,
Oh,
exactly.
the crappie boy was in the style of the French Revolution.
The hair,
Yeah.
the haircut
Yeah.
was in the French fashion
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
coming
yeah,
from the
John.
Revolution. That's how they. It was in 1798. Influenced.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually the crappies that were killed in Dublin, where their bodies were thrown in what was mud of the river, just where Bloom was walking.
Mhm.
Joyce has got it perfectly. It's now a memorial garden to the revolutionaries, the crappies of the
Of
1798
98.
rebellion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's very nicely done.
Mm.
But at the time, there would have been nothing there but the river, and Joyce has managed to write it in.
Well,
So the speech of Robert Emmet was given right before he was executed.
Yes.
yes.
I hope I'm not stepping on any toes, but we have Bloom, of course, farting in that speech, and then I'm remembering that we're going to have the reference later on to a hanging and when the penis becomes erect. So if I'm not mistaken, when you are hung, there are several indignities in addition to the major one of dying. And that is you die with a hard on and you loosen your bowels at the same time.
A hard on like you've never had before.
Hard on like you've never had before.
Such a waste.
So
Can I just mention that there's one sentence that we've read which seems to encompass the whole Sirens episode, and that is, there is music everywhere. And as we listen to each other reading it this evening, you can hear the music. Joyce's jingling and jingling and jogging and tap, tap, tap. It's all musical. And of course, he knew his music. Apparently, he was a very good singer, but he could also play guitar. So he would know how to construct music. And that's what I think he's trying to do here in this episode. You mentioned, Duncan, at the outset of the discussion there that the two ladies in the hotel were sort of the sirens. But I think everybody that's speaking in this episode is musical. It's coming out of their mouths as music.
Right. So let me ask
that scene of Bloom reading Emmett's epitaph. It's another instance of his dissembling. He's done it many times. He did it when he noticed Blazes Boylan outside of the National Library, outside of the museum, and when he pretends he's looking for something. He's making all of these pantomime efforts to find, like he's distracted, like I'm not really noticing you, don't think I saw you. And he's doing that here because he doesn't want the horror to see him. So he's pretending he's really entranced by what he's seeing in the window, which just happens to be Emmett's epitaph. So he's he knows he has to fart. He's waiting for the tram to come by. And he's also pretending that he's just reading. He's not doing anything. I'm not farting over here. I'm just reading. He's such a joker. He's just so funny.
Well, and he's being quite respectful because he doesn't want the whore to hear him fart. because they right at the very end, he says that thing, something, he passed her by, I forget what the phrase was. But he was also kind of waiting for her to pass by or
Mhm.
to,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, no one's behind, she's passed.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you, Jane.
there you are, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Here's another, this is probably stretching too far, and perhaps my hand should be slapped. But it seems to me that when Bloom goes in there, that in addition, that that Richie Golding is kind of the mast that Ulysses straps himself to.
Ooh.
Because Golding is just, at least strikes me as just so stolid and solid that he's just like almost like a post.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so,
I don't think that's stretching it too far.
No,
I think it's stretching it too far.
okay, well,
Yeah,
good
I
to
think
know.
I think the Homeric references are pretty useless in most cases, and
You've
if
been constant in saying that, though, Bill.
yeah
Yes, Bill is very steady.
yeah that's I'm not. I mean, it's only my opinion, but I'm not afraid to state it firmly.
Yeah, I
And
understand.
I'm not saying it's the right one. It's just mine.
Yeah, no,
Perfect.
it's great. It's great. We have in another reading group on Thursday evenings in the States, we have a gentleman who is a sailor, and he has written a manual on all of the Ulysses references. And so he does the opposite for me, what Bill is doing. Bill is kind of
Hmm.
bringing in the center, and Decio's always, say, oh, by the way, did you notice this, blah, blah, blah. So I love it all.
different lenses you can look through.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's not to say that their references aren't there. I mean, they're there. I mean, Joyce was aware of them, obviously, and intended them there to be references, but there are also references to Dante. There are also references to Virgil and the
Yes.
Aeneid and many other things. And I don't think that the Homeric references should take precedence. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
think I don't think
I
they
agree with that.
they're I mean, they add a layer of art and resonance, speaking in musical terms, to the text.
Mhm.
Because if you remember, if you're reminded of the Odyssey, but I honestly don't think that Bloom is Odysseus or Ulysses. I think
Yeah.
Stephen is Ulysses in my estimation.
Mhm.
I agree.
So Richie Goulding being a mast doesn't make much sense to me, but
Okay, it's just that, Bloom is out of sorts. He knows
Yeah.
that the assignation is going to take place. And he's just out of sorts. And I think that, of course, I think he has some relationship with Richie Goulding also. But I think that he's relieved that he has someone as stolid as Richie to sit with at his lunch. I have another thing I want to ask about, if I may. I believe that there are at least 3 rat references in this chapter where it comes up again and again.
mhm.
3 months.
Rat.
References to the rat. Remember back in Hades?
Oh, yes, but yes.
And
That
then the rat comes back. At least I think at least 3 times, just in what we read today. There were
Yeah.
references to the rats, so it's kind of like, yeah, maybe he's unconsciously trying to keep things in perspective.
Well, I think he's reminded too because of his digestion. I mean, that was what he was thinking about when he saw the rat. That rats. Nice meal he's got in there. Oh, look, he's pretty
Yeah.
well fed. That's a pretty well fed rat. So he's, he was hungry. Now he's had his dinner, and now he's got some indigestion. And I think he's reminded of the rat for a couple of reasons. I think, more than just one reason.
I think he probably believes that Blazes Boylan is a rat with what he's about to do.
That's the mind.
But yet he won't take any action to prevent it. He won't go home. He's delaying in town and waiting for the assignation to be over before he returns home. In fact, he waits until the next day.
I think definitely the rat is multi-layered or multifaceted. That not only would Blazes be a rat, but as Bill just pointed out, thank you, the indigestion part. And of course, part of the indigestion part is probably not just the burgundy and the gorgonzola sandwich. It's probably a physiological expression of his anxiety about Blazes and Molly at that particular time. So,
He had, what did he have? Liver for dinner with Richie had steak, and he had liver and onions probably with
And
cider.
pork kidneys for breakfast.
Yeah,
pork kidneys for breakfast. Mm-hmm.
His stomach probably wasn't in great shape.
Not a great diet.
no, the gorgonzola sandwich on top, and
that was lunchtime, right? And now he's actually
with a glass of burgundy. Oh,
right.
The thought of it. Even if he had a glass of Guinness, it might have helped his digestion.
What cheese does digest itself, he says, but I think Guinness digests all, or helps anyway.
It sweeps all before it.
Yes.
Just stay with the metaphor. And they give good Guinness in Davy Burns as well. I can vouch for that.
Yeah, I can vouch for that as well.
You've been there too, Bill. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
In 1904, did they pasteurize beer?
No.
It was unpasteurized, right?
I believe. I think it was unpasteurized. I don't know. I'm not an expert, but I don't think they pasteurized it.
Okay. All right. Lois, how are you doing? Last time you said you were totally lost. Are you still totally lost?
No, not totally lost, but I still have a few questions that I am mulling over on my own. What I love is finding words here that I don't know what they mean, and that's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, in addition to the musical part, which, I get part of and other parts I don't get, there's just this whole interweaving thing that you can only make the connections after multiple readings. Like I'm still and will be gathering different things, like the whole Martha thing that's interwoven in there. And there's even the little strange thing about where he continually, instead of saying hat, he says ha. And it's because he's got this card tucked in the hat band of his hat. And the actual label of the hat, the T is actually worn away. So all these little clever little thingies in there provide for endless entertainment.
It took him 5 months to write this section or this episode.
Wow.
And apparently he received a letter from Ezra Pound, who was a great supporter, asking him, had he gone dotty or lost his mind, changing the style at this point in the book. And as far as Joyce was concerned, Pound was just far too busy. He did appreciate the comment, but he was far too busy to actually understand what Joyce was writing. And what was the name of the lady? Weaver, who was also a supporter. He got a draft of the Sirens episode, and she was very upset with it and went back to him and said, why have you changed your style? I just don't understand. You don't have to change your style for each episode. But Joyce has always knew best.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That must have worried him a lot to get that letter.
Yes.
No, I mean, think about like his position. So
Oh, you mean from Harriet Weaver?
from Harriet Weaver. So yeah, like I can't remember as long as I read it. It's something like, I think your present troubles have affected your writing. Words to those effects, you know, your present worries. And he might, you know, used to, you know, kind of, it would stop you in your tracks, you know, if your financial supporter was having a wobble.
And such a strong supporter at that.
And such a vital one, yes, yeah.
Right. But that was just one of many during their relationship, right? Like when he moved on to Finnegan's Wake, I think there was a lot of that.
Yeah, I think that was the first. I'm open to correction. Perhaps, you know, there's no.
Okay.
That was the first time she wobbled.
Wasn't a full questioned him in that deep of a manner.
Yeah. I often wonder if that hasn't influenced the explanations he gave. You know, things he says about this episode. I often wonder if there are other explanations that other people have suggested, you know, that he might have just sort of tried to just not attract any more criticism in that quarter.
Did he care though? You know, his whole life would suggest that he just didn't care what other people thought of him.
Yeah.
You know, he had such difficulty getting published that, you know, if he wanted to kowtow to publishers, well, then he could have made things a little bit easier, but he didn't.
Yeah, true. It's a good point. Good point.
But Donna, I think he actually did care. And I think one of the marvelous parts about him is he stuck to his guns, even though it made him very, very nervous.
Okay.
You know, that he was just determined to follow through with his plan, despite the criticism. But I do believe that the criticism was hard on him.
Yeah.
There's a former minister for finance in Ireland, the Dublin readers will be familiar with it, called Charlie McCreevy. And he said that speaking of criticism, he said there is no dog that didn't prefer a pat on the head to a kick in the arse.
Yeah.
So maybe Joyce was the same. maybe he preferred the pats on the head.
Oh, I'm sure he did. Now, you know, there's that apocryphal story of his final statement, which I can't determine whether it's real or not. But, you know, the apocryphal story is that as he was dying, he said something to the effect of, "Does no one understand?"
Yeah.
He also said that what he had written would keep scholars occupied for 300 years to try and understand what he was saying.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that he expected to be fully understood, but maybe he expected more acceptance of people of what he read. But then he had great supporters, like Ezra Pound that I mentioned earlier.
And he had Dante.
Yeah.
Who was his hero, and Dante was not understood. At least my understanding of it was when Dante died, there were manuscripts around, but he had not really received any acclaim except from a very
Mm.
select group of people. And of course, Joyce was aware that over the period of hundreds of years, that, you know, more and more people began to appreciate and understand what Dante was up to. So,
Yeah.
And he seemed to he took a lot from Dante, including, I think, some courage. But am I making up stories? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I like that version.
I think from what I've just been reading, to answer your question, Duncan, it doesn't look like Guinness was pasteurized until maybe 1930. It was cask beer. It was so in wooden casks, it was fermented and allowed to just be. It wasn't until the 1960s that the metal barrels and the nitrogen system was
Mhm.
introduced. But there was always a double pour, because from the wooden casks, the beer would be really frothy. So you would pour half a Guinness and let it sit there, and then you'd finish it with Guinness from another cask that had settled a bit longer.
Yeah.
And so there would be a double pour, but it wasn't pasteurized.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised, but the thought had never occurred to me until today. But that's what I really love. One of the additional things that I really love about these readings is that we're able to delve into all these arcane aspects of it. So, and you know, it's great to have people here who know, because certainly I'm just stumbling along, discovering and benefiting from everybody else's knowledge. So, all right. Shall we wrap it up for today?
Yes.
Thank you,
Okay.
everyone.
See
Thank
you
you.
next week.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Duncan. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you,
you, Duncan,
Duncan.
very
Goodbye,
much.
everyone.
Yeah, Emily,
Bye.
feel
Emily, thank you thank you for being here, Emily.
Bye,
You all
everyone.
take care.
Here.
Bye-bye.